Hi, this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for better success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. So we're going to be concise and get right to our guest today. So, with question number one, tell us in a few sentences who you are and what you do.
Thanks for that introduction, Keith. My name is Duane Dufault. I run the sales and partnership development for a software company called ClockShark, and I do a lot of different coaching on the side, specific to SaaS companies to help develop the entire sales process, as well as establish different channels with other partners.
And almost all your career has been in sales and director of sales and things like that. So, lots of
Yes.
good experience.
Yeah.
So, we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
So, question number two, what's the best thing that you've found about being a business leader?
100% seeing your team or client make progress. Whether you've got one rep or 500, I think the fulfillment that you get from helping people succeed and progress in their career, for me, that's better than anything. You can close as many deals as you want, but really helping your team out, helping someone else succeed, for me, that's probably the best thing.
Awesome. Very nice. So, question number three, I hear from other business leaders that people strategy in their business is often more challenging, complicated, if you will,
Mhm.
than the actual business strategy in running their business. Your thoughts on that?
Definitely. I would completely agree. Uh, Having the best business strategy in the world, I think, doesn't matter unless you've got the right people on the bus, because you can have the best business, the best go to market, the best marketing, whatever you want it to be. But if you don't got the people on the team to deliver those things or to give you sound advice, it's not going to work. I've met some of the most best, brightest people in the world, and they try to do it themselves, and no one knows about it. So I think managing people and the people strategy behind everything is priority number one and two.
Yeah, I think historically, there's a lot of companies that had great products but didn't succeed. And, there's a lot of different reasons possibly for that, but having the right people is probably a good part of that.
Definitely.
So, question number four, what strategy would you like to share with other business leaders today?
Uh, I would love to talk about some type of conversion metrics or some SaaS funness, whatever you want to call it. But remove your ego. You don't have to be right. I think one of the toughest challenges with new leaders is that they feel like they need to be right to prove themselves. And you just need to find people with the right ideas and promote them. 100%. Business strategy aside, your number one goal is to make your people great. And so remove your ego and remove the need to be right in a moment. I mean, that's something that's helped me along the way.
Well, I think you're right on. Early on in leadership, that's where people probably struggle the most for it with
Mhm.
it is, you know, being freshly promoted to a new leadership position. Sometimes, there's a lot of expectations, but there's also a lot of ego, and it can get in the way.
Yeah, it's like they
So,
feel the pressure to have the right answer all the time, and they think people are looking up at them for everything. And it's like, just put the right people in place and be a coordinator of people rather than just being a source of truth for everything.
I like that concept, that terminology of a coordinator.
Yeah,
It describes more of a team player, but also, bringing out the strengths of the people around you, I guess, is
100%.
kind
Yeah.
of what makes me think of. So,
Hmm.
well, great. All right. So, question number five, what other successful business leaders or CEOs or CEOs like yourself would you like to maybe acknowledge, do a shout out to, or you think would be good on the podcast?
Oddly enough, it's someone that I haven't worked with in a while, and we just reconnected on LinkedIn, and his name is Aaron Farrell. He was a sales supervisor for me. I don't think I was actually ever a direct report of him or him of mine, but we worked side by side years ago. I think it was about 7 or 8 years ago, and his mindset and personality has always stuck with me. He always found a way to take or look at the positive side of a situation and always be a student of your craft. I remember him telling me that in a coaching session one day, and that kind of always stuck with me. And so I've worked with a lot of different business leaders, a lot of different people, but for some reason, that Aaron has always kind of reminded me of that. And so anytime I see him on LinkedIn or I see him out and about, and there's always that respect still there. And so I think he would be one that would be really great for this podcast.
We'll definitely reach out to him. I really like that concept, that you mentioned about, being a student of the craft. There's always so much more to learn
Hmm.
that we can develop and always striving for that.
Definitely.
So just kind of a final fun question. Tell me about one of your favorite past bosses.
It's again, long time ago. It's something that I feel like the early on in my career are the ones that kind of stuck out with me. Is this gentleman named Mike Jenke. He's a company called Build.com, online retailer for home improvement products. And he had just come back from working in a division that they developed over in the UK, spent out there for a couple of years, and he came back and he was just to the point, blunt, and no fluff, but wasn't an asshole for lack of a better term about it, but it was great. Like he was just direct with everything, and he didn't believe that there should be any ambiguity or gray area between communication on what needed to get done. And he taught me to really be like a confident leader, like trust yourself, pay attention to the details, and then just own the decision that you've made in that process. And so that those are the types of things that's always kind of stuck with me. And plus he was just fun to be around. Like he wasn't your, the stuck up or dry manager or dry leader. He had a great personality, and he was always willing to put in the work and try things out and experiment. So that kind of stuck with me along the way as well.
That's awesome. It sounds like he was a great person. And, it's interesting as I talk to people how many times it was their early bosses that they remember most that
Yeah.
had the biggest impact on them sometimes.
Interesting.
But the other thing I really liked about what you were saying is, you've mentioned that he was very clear in communication. I think
Hmm.
that's a skill that is lacking a lot of times in business
Yeah.
and in
But
leadership.
I feel like people are afraid to be clear, or they're not clear themselves, so they don't know how to articulate what they need to get across. Like one of the things that I learned from him that I still think of today is the fine details in process, like not to miss little things like in sales, to forget to set the task or to set the automation correctly and over test things so it doesn't fall apart. And I've been the recipient of when things do fall apart, and it's because the details were missed. And so that's always stuck with me as well.
Very nice. Well, it has been great having you on and great to hear your insights. Before we leave, can you tell people how they can maybe connect with you or reach
Sure.
out to you?
Yeah, I'm not active on all the other socials. I mean, I have them, but just find me on LinkedIn, Duane Dufault. One of few on there, and it's pretty obvious when you find me, but LinkedIn's probably the best way to find me.
Awesome. Very good. Well, again, appreciate you taking the time to be on. Great to have your insights and to have
Mhm.
you on. And this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast. And for more insights, you can follow us on LinkedIn or at Weaver Business Coaching. And of course, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. And we wish you the best success.